Hi, happy April, and welcome. My name is Yusezi Adams, Assistant Information Officer in the Office of the Deputy Governor, here with the man himself, Deputy Governor Mr. David D. Archer Jr. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for joining us. Today, it's April. We're in the middle of April. It's the Easter season, and we're continuing with something that never stops. It's the transformation of the public service. And for this edition of our monthly message, we're going to have a conversation about leadership, a very important part of building a world class organization. To begin our discussion, and I'll jump right in,
Of course.
as a deputy governor, the head of the public service, what is your definition of leadership?
Very good question. Well, I think a leader should have the ability to set a vision and also to bring people along with that vision, not in a very forceful or aggressive way, but in a way that motivates, encourages, and make people want to be a part of the overall process. So setting a vision, bring your people along without force, so that when you're not around, they can carry through the mandate going forward.
I really like where you ended there. When you are not around, they can carry through, follow through that vision. And if I may, I think that speaks heavily to the legacy of one of our great leaders, the late Honorable Lavity Stout. He was known for his saying that he picked up, without a vision, the people perish. He set a vision so many years ago, and today, as a government, as a territory, we're following through. But leadership doesn't begin necessarily when you become a leader. In some cases, it becomes while you're following and while you're carrying out someone else's vision. Where do you say leadership begins, especially in the public service?
Thank you very much. Each person within the public service, in their own right, in their own ability, they're leaders. People tend to believe a leader has to be the manager or the boss or the permanent secretary or the department head. Absolutely not. The qualities of leadership can be exhibited in every person walking through the door. So, your ability to, in the role that you do, to set the best examples, to let your supervisor know what you think about improvements, but really set an example which you can follow through, not just in your particular position, but also in other positions.
That's really good. It's important that in our individual roles, we set an example that follow the vision of the public service, especially in the sphere of transformation. Daily, as you provide the leadership to the public service, as you guide our strategic vision, what are three skills and qualities that you believe leaders in the public service, those who are leaders now, and those aspiring to be, what are three qualities that they should embody?
Very, very good question. Well, first of all, you cannot claim yourself to be a leader. Others have to validate that you are a leader. But if you ever want to have what we'll call right now a checklist or a scorecard of how well you're leading, at all times, three things should be at the top of your mind. Number one, are you good at the work that you do?
That's like
So I'll say this. For the job that you were hired, have you become an expert? Because the first sign of leadership is to know what you're doing, know how well you're doing it, but also be able to teach others. The second part is, are you leading change? Are you doing the same things you've been doing for the past 50 years, 20 years, or 10 days? Are you thinking about what's new and what's innovative? So first, can you do your work extremely well? Are you an expert in your particular job? Secondly, are you changing the organization? And the third thing to judge yourself as a leader, are you developing others?
I think a great point there is that what you described is a process. You do not master your job overnight.
No.
You don't engage change overnight. It takes time. And sometimes the process to becoming a great leader, it can be tiring, it can be wearying. How would you tell someone to hold on while
Yes.
trying to become a leader and they're getting these stumps?
Exactly. Well, once you're laser focused on a vision, once you believe in it and you believe the outcome of that vision is going to be good for people. Sometimes you might be alone,
Yeah.
or you might just have one person, but you have to always be consistent in what you believe. For example, when I first said, we will have a world-class public service, people thought I lost my mind. But the more you say where you're going to go, the more you believe it. And every single time you see a small aspect of it. For example, the government of the Virgin Islands has a customer service center
Yeah.
that is world class.
Yes, it is.
And every day we add to that world class bag until eventually, within the next 5 years, possibly, I might not be around. But the public
And we'll
service.
have leaders ready to step
And
up.
we'll have leaders. But the public service, mark my word, write it down, we will be ranked between number 1 and number 5 in the world going forward.
Wow. And this is not the first time we've heard you say that. And I think the proof is really in the results. We have all collectively as an organization followed behind a vision, every single person. And as we're doing that, as you say, everyone wouldn't be around forever.
Yes.
There will come a time where we'll have to announce appointments of new leaders in the public service. How are we as an organization preparing to move these persons up into these positions?
Thank you very much. I hope by now the public would have heard about the Virgin Islands the Virgin Islands Learning Institute, because that is a deliberate attempt to create not just training initiatives, but to create what will be the program to develop the entry-level person all the way up to the deputy governor if they choose to. So a deliberate plan, where persons can know what type of skills, competencies, resources they might need to be able to become the next, you say.
That's really good. And the Institute has been doing incredible work. In 2023, in just a few months of operation, the Public Service Learning Institute hosted over 600 public officers.
That's world class.
That is world class.
Yes, it is.
And all of these things are truly coming together to get us to that top 5 spot.
Exactly.
And what advice would you give to a public officer who is seeing all of these transformations? They're engaging in the courses and the opportunities from the Learning Institute, but still they feel insignificant in the grand scheme of this great big public service with 2,500 other persons. What advice would you give to them to still push forward and keep your dreams strong?
Of course. You see, one thing we have to realize is we're all born for a particular purpose. That's what I believe. And small or large or medium, whatever contributions we make is towards something greater. The first thing that we have to analyze, or the first thing that person needs to know, is that it is my responsibility as a manager, as a leader, to develop you, to ensure you're part of a learning environment. But also importantly, it is your responsibility to determine where you need to go, to create a path for yourself through dialogue and openness and being willing. So to that person who might not feel encouraged, I will say this: tap in first to your purpose. Realize that what you're doing is for good and it matters, not just what the boss might do or the supervisor might do. Everything matters in the wider scheme of being within the public service.
That's really important. And I was about to say I was having a conversation with a friend, but the truth is I was talking to myself. And I told myself today, I said, I think the greatest reward of being a public officer is knowing that every single day, I am building a Virgin Islands for my kids, my grandkids, maybe my great grandkids too.
Yes.
We're all pieces to a great big puzzle that are building a beautiful and better Virgin Islands for the future. We're winding down, but I want to ask you this, sir. The public service is transforming. We have a public service transformation program, a great public service transformation manager. What has assisted you in providing steady leadership through these changes?
That you're going to make me talk about myself, but I won't do so. I believe the one quality that I bring to the table is to provide persons with the right avenue to dream and to hope. and to know that even though things might be difficult right now, even though we're not scoring high in a particular mark in this department or next, we're coming.
Yes.
On the way here, what happened?
Oh, yeah.
On the way
On
here,
the way here.
a client stopped me. You were there, and
Yes,
said, I
I
want to
was.
tell you something, Deputy Governor. I just received great service from the Labor Department. And when I tell you, within the next 1 to 5 years, when you hear complaints about the public service, there are not going to be a lot of them.
Yeah.
Because every day, and I have the stats, we're reducing the complaints and we're adding to the compliments and the commendation. So it is really a good place to be in. It has to outlive me. I will move on. Others will come. You will come. But that's why the ethos of the public service is critical. That's why we have to have a client-facing customer service focus, asking our clients, asking our customers, engaging them so that we can deliver a world-class product.
That's really good. And like you said, we have the results. People are stopping us on the road and telling us we're seeing the improvement. As we close, I want you to speak to two groups of public officers. Firstly, our leaders now. Secondly, our leaders of tomorrow. What is your parting message to them today?
Thank you very much. Our leaders now, obviously, we have been placed in a unique opportunity to shape lives, improve policies, make our organizations better, but also make the Virgin Islands better. And that's a very serious responsibility. Don't take it lightly. Every single day, apply yourself with aggression. Ensure that you're working really hard towards making your departments better. But don't forget, test yourself on these three things. 1, master your work. 2, lead change. 3, develop people. To the future leader, your time is now. Set the example you want to see in the future in your current state and in your current role so that you will easily transition into the next leader of the Virgin Islands.
I don't think there's anything else that I can add to that, sir. I'd like to thank our viewers for joining us today. My name is Eustace Adams, and you have just listened to probably one of the best monthly messages we have ever produced. It's the Deputy Governor's April monthly message. I'd like to invite you to stay tuned to the Government of the Virgin Islands on Facebook, YouTube, and at bvi.gov.vg, and the Deputy Governor's Office on Facebook at the Office of the Deputy Governor. Thank you for joining us today, and I'll see you next month.